2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Man, I could play this groove all day. It's just so funky, it's simple, it's syncopated, it's a vibe. And this tune is Pusherman, Curtis Mayfield, you know, the whole Superfly era, which is awesome. I believe Joseph Lucky Scott is the bass player on this track, but it is just a solid groove that is really fun to play and something that I think you could learn. Get under your fingers, be able to play a fun groove today. So before we get into it, if you want to get tab notation, anything like that for this groove, head over to my Patreon page. I can't tell you how awesome it is to have your support over there. And you'll get, you know, all the kind of things to accompany these videos, plus all the ones you see at this channel. So head over there for more deets, and let's get into this lesson. I love this bass line because 1, it's pretty easy to play once you kind of get it under your fingers. 2, it's a perfect little theory lesson. And 3, it's great for kind of understanding funk rhythms. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about how to play this bass line, the notes we're going to use, and the element of syncopation that we have and what that means. So we're going to talk about it first from a harmonic perspective. So let's figure out where we are on the instrument. And we're going to be in the land of F. So playing in F can be a little bit of a challenge on the instrument just because, you know, we're down here at the very base of the neck. We're playing first fret of our E string. You know, there's a little bit more string tension there, so usually that first fret requires a little bit of that reach around, but I promise you, you'll be able to do it. And we want to kind of figure out our group of notes that we're playing from. Now, we're really essentially playing over a dominant chord, or we're in like dominant, kind of like minor pentatonic-ish land. Funk music has a lot of kind of like mysterious grooviness to it, but the group of notes that we want to be concerned about are the root, the octave, I'm just grabbing this F up here on the 3rd fret of my D string, the flat 7th or E flat, the 5th, which is the C, the 4th, which is the B flat, and then I'm going to play that C, the 5th again. So again, the notes, we have F, F, E flat, C, B flat, C, or you could go root, octave, flat 7th, 5th, 4th, 5th. So that is the group of notes that we're going to use. Now when we do this, we also want to see that, like, yeah, we're kind of playing this box pattern. When we play a box pattern, it essentially means that we're adhering to notes within the same, like, 3 frets. So we're kind of playing between our 1st and 3rd fret here, which means that if we use our rock and roll fingers, index and pinky, we will be able to just use these fingers and play our groove. Now, the good thing about this is, you know, especially if we're down at the base of the neck, trying to use our 4-fret span can be a lot. So if you find yourself trying to play it with your ring finger, that might not be the best approach because then your pinky is off in no man's land. So I totally recommend using index and pinky for this. And you can see that every note that we hit is between the 1st fret and the 3rd fret. So you can, again, kind of assign all of the notes with your index finger on the 1st fret and all the notes with your pinky on the 3rd fret. So from a technique standpoint, that's a really great way to approach it. Now that we know the group of notes that we're playing and the key that we're working with, let's talk a little bit about the rhythm that we're using, because this is where we get into the land of syncopation. Now, there's a difference between kind of playing like a real straightforward groove and a syncopated groove. When we think about a straightforward groove, we might think like a walking bass line. We're playing even quarter notes. We're thinking, okay, we have a bar of 4/4, which is very common in our music, and we think 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 quarter notes in a bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is what a straight quarter note feel is. When we add syncopation, we're going to kind of stray away from doing just quarter notes and kind of play with some of the other subdivisions that we have within a bar. When I say subdivisions, kind of means that we take our quarter notes, we cut them in half, and we get 8 eighth notes in a bar, or 16 16th notes. So eighth notes are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 16th notes would be 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. And so when we build a syncopated line, that basically means that we're kind of, you know, rhythmic buffet. We're kind of playing around with combining notes that may fall on the downbeats or the quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4. We may include notes that fall on the ands. We may include some notes that fall on the 16th notes, the E's and the U's. But for this particular groove, we're really just using notes that fall on our regular 1, 2, 3, 4s and our ands. So you don't have to worry about 16th notes at all for this. But we want to think about the groove as something where we have a mixture of those things, and that's how we get that syncopation. So if we kind of like clap along, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1, you can kind of see that my hand goes up for the ands, which we call the upbeats, and down on the 1, 2, 3, 4. If I go a little slower, it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So if we were to count out this groove, it would basically be like this. Here's our time. I'm going to try to slow down a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. So the first two notes that we hit are 1, 2. That'll be our low F and high F. And then we go 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So you can kind of hear that we start off with just 1 and 2, and then the rest of the notes that we play are on the ands. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So we do have that mixture of things that hit on our regular quarter notes and then things that hit on the upbeats. Now, if you are somebody that naturally can hear these things and play them, awesome, great. If this is a little bit of a challenge for you, the thing that I would advise you to do is to not get too caught up with the hardcore counting element of this line. You know, sometimes we can kind of get lost in the way we count things, and sometimes it's easier if we just kind of like internalize how it's supposed to sound. So because of that, I highly recommend taking some time away from your bass, listening to the record and feeling how this groove feels and sounds, so that if you build the sound of it in your head and you know you're supposed to play boo ga 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 go ga boo, like you can hear the rhythm. If you can hear that and feel it in your head, you can then play it on your instrument. So again, the biggest suggestion that I have is to listen to the part, get the feeling and the sound of that bass line in your head, and then go to play it, especially if you get a little discombobulated with the counting element. But just know that this is a really fun groove, nice and syncopated, and it's also very repetitive. So once you learn it, you can kind of just sink your teeth in and get really comfortable playing it over and over again. We commit to the groove. So that's pretty much all there is to this lesson. I hope you dug it. And if you want to get tab or notation for this groove, if you want to see those rhythms on a sheet of paper, feel free to head over to my Patreon page and you can get that there. Also, it's great to have your support, so I really appreciate everybody that supports my Patreon page, and there are even more goodies over at ryanmedora.com. So have a great day, everybody. Happy practicing. Keep it groovy.